In our last video, the first of two for New Orleans, we explored the French Quarter, focusing on Bourbon Street and Royal Street, as well as a trip to the waterfront. In this video,
we're in the Garden District of New Orleans.
Okay, like I mentioned before, this is the second of two videos we filmed around New Orleans. The first one focused on the French Quarter, so this one is really for those of you like us that are more interested in seeing the residential areas.
That green streetcar you see is the St. Charles streetcar line, which has been in operation for more than 150 years. The dark green streetcar is the oldest continuously operating streetcar line in the world, and it runs a 6-mile arc, including this jaunt down St. Charles Street into the Garden District.
Yep, the streetcars are an excellent way to navigate around all the famous tourist areas in this cool city. So with that said, Caro, since our focus is on the Garden District, what can you tell us about it?
The Garden District consists of 134 acres and is largely residential. The population in this area is about 1,200. It's a mix of single-story cottages and historic mansions, and in 1971 the entire district was added to the National Register of Historic Places. Of note, St. Charles Street, which is the main street through the area, is on the Mardi Gras parade route. Here we are at Lafayette Cemetery No. 1. It's one of 6 municipal cemeteries owned and managed by the city of New Orleans. It was founded in 1833 for the suburb of Lafayette, which once comprised of the neighborhoods of Irish Channel, the Garden District, and Central City. The cemetery and the suburbs became part of New Orleans in 1853. It is listed on the National Register of Historic Places as a National Historic Landmark. Currently, it's closed for repairs and improvements, although family members may visit with an appointment.
Yeah, the cemetery may seem like an odd choice for a place to visit, but they're kind of synonymous with New Orleans, and obviously everything's above ground, which gives it a very interesting take. So it's probably best that you add that to your itinerary. As for chronology, there really isn't any. We just walked around side streets, main streets, just wherever the cool sights took us. And in this area, that's pretty much everywhere. So we had a good time filming and taking pictures of all this beautiful property.
If you've watched our other videos, you know I can find street art pretty much anywhere we go. I loved that so many of these houses had the historical information posted outside. Here we are at Colonel Short's villa. It was built in 1859 for Colonel Short of Kentucky. If you notice, there's an ironwork fence around it, and it incorporates morning glories and corn stalks. The story goes the wife missed her home of Iowa. If you watched our other video, we also heard that story about another property in New Orleans. Might be true, might be just part of the story. Anyway, this house was confiscated by the federal government in 1863 and became an executive mansion for the Louisiana federal governor before it was given back to Colonel Short. What I love about these old neighborhoods is the wide variety of styles among the houses. Unlike today, where there's maybe 2 or 3 different versions within a neighborhood, these all varied so dramatically. It's really visually amazing. Here we are at the Musson Whitney Bell House. It was built in 1835 for Michael Musson, a cotton merchant and New Orleans postmaster. He was one of the few French Creoles living in the Garden District. This is the Robinson Mansion. It was built in 1859 for Walter Robinson, a tobacco merchant. It's an example of an Italian-style architecture. The Gilmore Parker House was built in 1853 for Thomas Gilmore, a British cotton merchant. It was sold to John Parker in 1882, and his son, John Jr., was later the governor of Louisiana from 1920 to 1924.
As Caroline said earlier, and we mentioned in our previous video, one of the great things about New Orleans is the diversity of culture. It's represented in its people, its food, its beverages, and its architecture.
You can definitely see why this area is called the Garden District, and with everything in bloom, it was so beautiful. So probably the best thing to do is let you just enjoy the scenery.
Okay, at this point in the video, we're making our way back to St. Charles Street for some lunch and a stop at one of the local breweries. It's time to wrap this one up. All right, what'd you think of the Garden District of New Orleans?
These homes are beautiful. The architecture is amazing. All the plants, the trees were in bloom. It was a great day to be out here enjoying this.
Yeah, the trees all being in bloom was a wonderful surprise. Really gorgeous.
Definitely.
So glad we took the time to see this part of the city. So, as always, I give it a huge thumbs up.
I agree.
All right, get off the couch. We'll see you next time.
Cheers.